feel for a person. We don't have an unlimited amount of space in our heart for empathy for people who don't actually deserve it. We don't. Let me go to this article, okay? So there was a plus size TikToker, and also this woman does not get any empathy or sympathy because she posted this, and she wants you to feel bad for her. But when you look at her situation, when you read about the situation, when you watch her TikTok, there's nothing in you genuinely that feels bad for this person. From The Blaze, plus size travel TikToker says she almost fainted after an airport worker refused to push her in a wheelchair off the plane. A plus-size social media influencer recently claimed that an airport worker in Washington refused to push her in a wheelchair up the jet bridge because of her size. As a result, the influencer was gasping for air when she was forced to walk off the plane on her own, according to the New York Post. Let's go to what she said. I'm a plus-size wheelchair user, and on a recent flight to the SeaTac airport, I requested wheelchair assistance as I always do, the narration said on Cheney's post. When it came time for me to deplane, I saw the employee who would be assisting me with my wheelchair waiting for me in the entry of the jet bridge. Cheney, who has more than 135,000 followers on the controversial platform, claimed that the Washington airport worker suddenly walked away from the plane when she saw Cheney get off the plane, according to the social media post. Cheney claimed that, quote, as I approached her and she realized she'd be assisting me and not one of the smaller passengers, she started to walk away with the wheelchair while making comments about my size. The twist is that Cheney is actually able to walk, but she was blatantly, quote, blatantly ignored by the worker, which forced her to walk up one of the longest jet bridges I've ever encountered. Let me say this. As someone who has been on multiple plane rides, if you take the longest jet bridge, it is still a pretty short walk. It is still a short walk. And if you watch her TikTok, if you look at her own content, she's trying to control the narrative as much as possible. Based on her own TikTok, you can see she is able to walk. She just doesn't want to walk. The problem with society now is that we simply say, you know what? You can't shame people. You can't shame people. You can't make people feel bad. No, we need to make shame great again, because there's people who do this. There's people who now, they have this insistence. I demand that you push me to my destination. I demand that everything is done for me. I can walk, but I don't want to walk. I want you to bring yourself to me. I'm going to roll over into the seat. You're going to use all of your strength to grab me and push me up this bridge. I want you to do all the work. I don't want to do any of the work. No, you are a fat person, and you should be completely ashamed of yourself. Not just with the fat part, but the big part is the fact that you demand that someone else takes care of you. That's the problem. That is the problem. Right here, back to the article. The lengthy walk apparently required a lot of energy because Cheney said she was on the verge of fainting after making the journey without assistance. So that jet bridge, that just completely tired her out. She said, quote, by the time she let me reach the wheelchair and sit down, my lips were white. My oxygen levels had dropped and I almost fainted. That is a personal problem. You have lived an awful lifestyle that allowed you to get that big. Let me say this. Anyone who knows me or see me knows I'm a pretty thin guy. I don't weigh that much. I can't imagine being that size or even allowing myself to get to that size. That is a lot of eating that you're doing to get to that size. And I don't want to hear about, what about her thyroid? What about her, what if she has some kind of disease? You cannot get that big without eating food in great quantities. I should say quantities of excess. That's how you get that big. It's not your thyroid. It's not a disease. It is something, you are putting too much food into your pie hole and you're not moving enough. Anybody can lose weight. Anybody can do it. She just doesn't want to. I hardly could make the journey, and my oxygen levels, they just dropped, and my lips started to white, and I almost fainted. That is a you problem, ma'am. That's on you. This is supposedly, she noted this is the first time she traveled without oxygen in 4 years. Are you proud of that? Because you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. This quote, this woman just assumed I could walk and would rather me. Listen to this. This is why she doesn't get any empathy or sympathy. Listen to this quote. This woman just assumed I could walk and would rather me do that instead of her having to push someone plus size up the jet bridge. All the other attendants wheeled their passengers up the jet bridge, but my needs were disregarded, Cheney claimed. Quote, this is discrimination. Nobody, and she put body in all caps, B-O-D-Y, should be treated this way, end quote. Cheney has to purchase an additional seat every time she travels due to her size. She was criticized in June 2023 because she demanded passengers pay fees so she can have the extra room for herself. If you have faced something similar, you're not alone. Discrimination is real. And I don't want any body in all caps again, else to ever experience something like this, Cheney concluded. That's not discrimination. That is called laziness on your part. That's called being a slob on your part. That's called being disgusting on your part. And I'm not saying fat people are disgusting. What I'm saying is the lifestyle, the demand that I want you, see, everyone else, see, how come you can't get me? No, how about you actually pick up yourself and walk? How about you walk? How about that? How about you walk? This obesity problem, I will say this. We don't eat healthy food in today's world, but let's just be real. In order to gain that much weight, that is a personal issue. That is not McDonald's. That is not Burger King. That is not Jack in the Box. That is not Wiener Schnitzel. That is not Whataburger. That is not Denny's. That is not Applebee's. That is none of the restaurant's issues. That is a you issue. You are a massive human being because you eat too much. You ate too much, and now you don't want to live with the consequences. I want you to come get me and wheel me out. No, how about you get up out of your seat and walk? How about that? How about that? How about you do what all of the other people have to do? There comes a point where we have to say, no, you don't get help. You don't get wheelchair assistance. You get yourself up out of your seat and go and walk. This is not the ER. That's not what this is. To get to that size, you have to do some serious eating. That's what it is. That's the only way you get that big. That's why you can't blame anyone else. That's not discrimination. That's a lifestyle. That is a series of decisions that you have made as an individual to say, I'm going to eat more calories than I burn to allow me to get to that size. We always wonder how these people always wonder. They always try to give this stupid advice that's like, well, if you want to lose weight, don't eat after 7. Intermittent fasting. Do this. Do that. You know what works all the time? You know what works? Not eating. If you don't eat, you can't gain weight. Ask those starving African children. Ask them, or even ask your local homeless person. How do you get skinny? How do you lose weight? The African children will tell you, have you tried not eating? If you ask the homeless person on the street corner, he'll say, not eating usually works. That's how you lose weight. I'm just sick of this. I'm sick of this mentality where we have to embrace and help these people. No, they need to help themselves. That's the first step. It is nothing that I need to do. It's something that you need to do. It's something that this individual and individuals like her need to do. If you want to lose weight, you must take responsibility for your actions. They have to. You have to. You must take